Okay, so here we go. Common denominator. We still want to look at what the common denominator is. So in order to cancel everything, I would have to multiply everything by 3 and t, both 3 and t. So the least common denominator. So I have 3t that I'm going to multiply this whole side to. Okay, and then I have 3t over here. I like to write it next to every single term so that I can show my canceling. Or you can do parentheses and show that you're multiplying to both sides. Okay, when you're adding it to this side, we should probably add some parentheses on there. Okay, when you're multiplying, it's going to cancel the t's. Goodbye. What's left is the 3. And the 3 multiplies to the entire top, so it's going to distribute here. So this gives me 3t minus 6. Okay, on the right-hand side, when I multiply 14 over 3t times 3t, the 3t's cancel out, and I just have a 14 left. And the 1/3 times 3t, the 3's cancel out, and I have a minus 1t, which is minus t or minus 1t. Now we solve like normal because we fraction busted and got rid of all the fractions, so our life was way better. So we're going to add 1t to both sides. So I have 4t minus 6 equals 14. And I'm going to add 6 to both sides. So we get 4t equals 20. And I'm going to divide by 4 on both sides. And then I get t equals 5. All right, there's something else you have to remember to do on all these problems. Okay, so what does this bubble say? Step 1. I'm doing it in step 2, sorry. Step 1, list all unacceptable values, ones that give a denominator of 0. So you can never, ever, ever have 0 in the denominator, right? So you want to look at your original equation here, and if there's a variable there, what would give you 0 is what you want to think about. So right here, I just have a t. That means if I were to plug in 0 right here, I would get 0 in the denominator, right? So we have to say that t cannot equal 0 because it would be undefined at that place. And then I have 3 times t right here. That is the exact same thing, okay? We cannot have 0 because 3 times 0 is 0, all right? So both those say t cannot equal 0. This is a part of your answer, you guys. So not only do you need t equals 5, you also need t cannot equal 0. Okay. All right, so let's start with our values that don't work, all right? So what makes it undefined? What would give me 0 right here? Right, so t cannot equal 0. Okay, now this one right here, what would give me 0? Yes, a 3 minus 3 would give me 0. So that means t cannot equal 3 because it would give me 0 in the denominator of a fraction, which is not allowed. All right, now we can solve the problem by multiplying by the common denominator. I would put this over 1, whether it's a 0, a 1, a 2, a 3. And we're going to multiply everything by the common denominator. Well, in this problem, the common denominator is t and t minus 3. And over here, t and t minus 3. And over here, t and t minus 3. So write small, but I do want to see that step where you multiplied every single term by the common denominator. So we can fraction bust, okay? In the first fraction, what's going to cancel? Good. The t cancels with the t, so you shouldn't have a fraction anymore. And the 5 has to multiply and distribute to the t minus 3. So 5 times t is 5t. And 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. All right, now I have the next term. What's going to cancel in this term? Yep, t minus 3. Good. And now I have, don't lose this negative sign right here, I have a minus 2t. And this one was nice to us because they gave us a 0, and we're multiplying 0 times this whole thing. What is 0 times anything? 0. So we can just put 0 there. All right, add like terms. So 5t minus 2t is 3t. Add 15 to both sides. So 3t equals 15. And divide both sides by 3. So t equals 5. Again, make sure you always have those undefined values also as part of your answer. Okay? So let's try another one. All right, you guys, what would give me 0 right here? Ella? Negative 2. So n cannot equal negative 2. Good. Now, this one that has a 5 in it doesn't matter. There's no variable. It's only when there's a variable are you going to say what that variable cannot equal, and only when the variable is in the denominator. Okay? So now we're going to fraction bus. So we have to multiply everything by the common denominator. So, Andrew, what do you think I should multiply every single term by? Good. 5, and then n plus 2, and then 5, n plus 2, and then 5, n plus 2. So every single term, you kind of want to write small so you can fit it in. And then we're going to start canceling stuff. So, Ben, what cancels when I multiply this first thing together? N plus 2, n plus 2. So what we have left is 5n. Okay. And Nico, what cancels in this second fraction? Okay. Pay extra close attention here. This is where the most errors happen. All right. I have a negative 3 right here that is distributing to the n and the 2. The negative 3 is also distributing over here. So, Jackie, what do you think I get when I distribute the negative 3? Nice. So many people have a plus 6 here, you guys, because they forget that negative goes with it, all right? So distribute that negative 3. All right, and on the right-hand side, Sophia, 0 times anything is right. So this is really being multiplied. You still just get 0. All right, so 5n minus 3n is 2n. And we're going to add the 6 over to the other side. And we're going to divide by 2, just like you guys have been doing forever. And you get 3 as your solution. I feel like we just did that. Is everyone good? Okay.